Football could be back sooner than later. The words that we have been waiting and desperate to hear. Mark Ogden is here with me. And I suppose that, all within reason, Augie, and you are the reason, or you're going to give us the reason what we're talking about, because we're hearing that the EFL has probably set a plan to return at least in June. And this is, of course, the EFL here in England that includes the Championship, not the Premier League, as well as League One and League Two. But what's the deal? What gives with that one?
At the moment, they've been told to give their players time off, give them their holiday time now, and then return to training on the 16th of May, which is still a month away, but it's a date set where they can return to training, prepare a mini pre-season to return, hopefully, by the 6th of June. Now, obviously, that all depends on government advice at the time, but we're talking about maybe 7 weeks from where we are now. So the hope is that by then, there'll be some sort of relaxing of the restrictions whereby they can still have some sports games played. There'll be no crowds, it'll be behind the closed doors, but the idea is June the 6th, start playing games with the intention of getting it finished by the end of August. So, hopeful times.
Hopeful times indeed. I was going to say, because like you said, I mean, that's just about a month away, I suppose, for them to have preseason kind of training and stuff like that. Have you heard anything of possibly a plan B, since there's still talks of extending lockdowns just around the world, or at least here in the UK? I mean, there's still, in my opinion, too much uncertainty.
Yeah, there's been, at the outset when the Premier League was cancelled on, I think it was 13th of March, they said April the 3rd or April the 4th or something. And obviously that's gone, and it was April the 30th next, that's gone as well. So a lot of these deadlines have been pushed back. But I think, the German teams have started to train this week in the Bundesliga with the intention of playing again by May. So there may be a sense of relaxing things because, obviously the priority is people's health right now with the coronavirus, but there's an element also of industry trying to get itself back on its feet, and that people do need to live. The economy needs to turn, and football is a big part of the economy. It generates a lot of money for the taxman in the UK and across the world, I think. So obviously the EFL coming back at the beginning of June, proposed idea, tentative, is a big thing. And I think there's a Premier League meeting on Friday with the 20 chief execs of all the Premier League clubs via video conference, and again a plan to return will be discussed. So by Friday we may have a similar timeline delivered by the Premier League.
And then what, of course, I know that's just speaking on England, and your article definitely talks about England, but anything else from the rest of Europe? We know Belarus clearly are just trotting on as normal. At least they're providing some football against all odds. But just in the rest of Europe, you touched, of course, in Germany, how Bayern Munich, we've seen, pictures of them having training in small groups.
Well, I mean, obviously Italy and Spain, that's suspended indefinitely, and that both countries seem to be quite badly affected by coronavirus. So I think in those cases, it's going to be very difficult to see anything, certainly by the end of May, I think. But, the Premier League is the one that we'll probably get the next kind of decision on, because Friday the meeting takes place, and there will be an element of hoping to put a framework, put a target in place whereby they can say, right, we'll aim for this, we'll get the players back at this date, we'll aim to play on this date. It may all get put back again because we're all kind of waiting to see the daily updates and the infection rates and death rates in the UK across the world. But if the EFL can propose a June the 6th return, I'd imagine the Premier League will be very close to that, because if one club is playing behind closed doors, it's behind closed doors. There's not a lot of people that need to be there. So let's be hopeful that by the beginning of June that football fans will have something to take the mind of this awful crisis.
And then quickly, of course, just before we go with that, do you think that would just extend to the club competitions as well? We know FA Cup here, at least domestically in the UK.
I think the league will be the first priority to get the leagues done, because there's so much prize money at stake for every place, relegation, promotion. I think that has to be the priority, get the leagues done. The cup competitions, the quarter-final stage in the FA Cup, that needs doing at some point, but I think that's pretty low on the priority list right now. I think it's all about getting the leagues done. The European fixtures, that's a different matter entirely, because that involves travelling from different countries, and I think that's going to be a real problem. How do you get people from Spain to Italy to Germany to the UK? I do fear for the Champions League this season, but in terms of the domestic leagues, I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to kind of preface this by saying the priority is the health of people and the restrictions that the government impose. If the government say we're in lockdown for another 2 months, then there'll be no football for that period.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.